Hi everyone, welcome to Talk Easy. Today in our studio, Catherine and Mike will be talking about making plans with friends.
Okay, so today we're diving into something, I think we've all been in that situation. Trying to make plans
Oh, yeah.
with friends,
Absolutely.
and especially, in another language, if you're learning a language,
Mhm.
that can sometimes be tricky. It's like you want to hang out, you're excited about it, but
Right.
getting all the details together,
Yeah.
it can be kind of
Can be a little bit stressful
it
sometimes.
can be a little stressful, yeah. And so we have some really interesting source material for this deep dive today. It's actually a script for a podcast episode
Right.
designed to help people learn English.
Yeah.
But you know what? The stuff in the script,
It's great.
it applies no matter what
Definitely.
language you're speaking.
It's about those universal kind of communication strategies that really help us to connect with people on a deeper level. It's fascinating how much we can learn from something as seemingly simple as a script for language learners.
I know. And today we're going to figure out how to take some of this stuff and use it to make planning with friends a lot smoother, more fun,
More enjoyable.
less stressful. So just better overall.
Yeah, because sometimes it's like the stress of just figuring out what we're going to do and when can kind of get in the way of the actual joy of connecting with someone.
Totally. And this script starts out talking about how to start the conversation. Like, how do you even begin that whole process?
Right.
And I love that it goes beyond that typical,
Are you free this weekend?
are you free this weekend? It's like,
Which is so
it can be a little
transactional, isn't it?
transactional. Yeah. It suggests things like, hey, it's been ages since we last hung out. What have you been up to? Or, I heard about this amazing exhibit at the museum. Any chance you'd be interested in checking it
I
out?
love that. And it sets a more inviting tone right from the beginning
Wasn't it?
because you're signaling that you're interested in the person
Yeah.
as well as just trying to fill a space in your schedule.
It's not just like a logistical thing.
Ex-
You're actually interested in...
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to think about why that is so effective.
Mhm.
In many cultures, especially those that emphasize politeness and sort of indirect communication, jumping straight into logistics can feel a bit
Oh, yeah.
abrupt, like you're demanding something of someone's time.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not really considering them as a person.
Exactly.
It's more like, I need something from you.
So starting with a personal touch, I think, helps to build rapport and ease into the conversation.
Yeah, it's like a softer entry into it.
Exactly.
And then the script goes into the wording of the invitation itself
Yeah.
and how even little tiny subtle differences in phrasing can really
Fascinating how much of a difference that makes.
the impact of the invitation. So it talks about, for example, the difference between just saying like casually, let's grab coffee versus saying, would you like to join me for coffee?
Right.
That's a subtle
There's a subtle difference there.
difference there, right?
And the first one, I think, might come across as a bit more presumptive, like you're assuming that the other person is already on board.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas the second one is more open-ended. It's more respectful of their time and their preferences.
Yeah, it feels a little gentler.
It does.
And then this ties into something that the script talks about, which I thought was really interesting. It was talking about English-speaking norms
Yeah.
and this idea that sometimes if you're too assertive when you're making plans, it can
backfire.
totally backfire.
Because in many English-speaking cultures, there's this emphasis on individual autonomy and the freedom to choose.
Yeah.
So if you're too directive about the details of the plan,
Right.
it can feel like you're infringing on that freedom a little bit, even if you have the best of intentions.
It's almost like telling someone what to do
Yes, exactly.
instead of collaborating.
Inviting them in. Yes. And the script emphasizes this by suggesting phrases that emphasize joint decision-making when it comes to things like time and place. So instead of saying, let's meet at 5 p.m.,
Right.
it suggests something like, what time works best for you?
Oh.
Or is there a particular location that you'd prefer?
Oh, I like that.
It's much more,
It feels much more collaborative.
yes, it's like you're saying, hey, we're in this together.
Right.
Your preferences matter.
Yeah, you're being considered.
Exactly.
And I love how the script talks about like all the different activities that you could do together.
Oh, yes.
And it goes way beyond just like
Dinner and a movie.
dinner and a movie, which is what we always...
Right, which is kind of the default.
Yeah, the default, right.
Yeah.
It talks about trying a new restaurant together, going hiking, going to a concert, even just like chilling at somebody's place and playing board games,
Yes.
which I love.
I love that. And I think that's a key takeaway here. It's not just about finding a time and place to meet. It's about choosing an activity that will actually help you to connect and to enjoy each other's company.
It should be fun.
Exactly. And by suggesting a wider range of options,
Yes.
you're more likely to find something that really resonates with both of you.
Because you're not just filling time,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
You're trying to
creating an experience.
make a memory. You're trying to have fun.
Yes.
Okay, so life happens, right? Sometimes you make plans and then something comes up and you have to reschedule or even cancel.
Right.
And I appreciate how the script acknowledges this and talks about how to do that gracefully and respectfully.
Yes, that's such an important point because the way that you handle those changes can really impact your relationships.
It's like a test
It is like a little test of your
of your communication skills.
communication skills, exactly,
Like, can you navigate this without,
without damaging the
hurting the other person's feelings? And the
Mhm.
script gives some good advice for that.
Yeah. Like, for example, instead of just saying, sorry, can't make it, you could say, I'm so sorry something came up on my end. Would you be free to reschedule for new date time?
I see. And so you're acknowledging that you're inconveniencing them,
Yes.
that you're sorry,
That you regret it.
and then offering a solution.
And taking the initiative to find an alternative, which shows that you are committed to making it work.
And you value their time.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing how much thought went into this script, even though it's for something that seems so simple.
Yeah, it's really impressive, isn't it?
It is.
And it just highlights how these little details in communication can make such a big difference in our relationship.
Absolutely. It's about being more mindful and intentional
Yes.
with the way we talk to each other.
And I think that's something that we can all benefit from, regardless of what language we speak or where we come from.
Well said.
Because ultimately, we all want those genuine connections,
Exactly.
those shared experiences that make life so much richer.
Okay, we're going to take a quick pause here, but when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into this script
Yes.
and explore more phrases and strategies
Well, practical tips.
that we can all use
Absolutely.
to become master plan makers and connection builders. Stay tuned.
Can't wait. Welcome back. You know, when we were talking before, I was just thinking about how cool it is that this script really encourages us to go beyond just like the logistics of the plan.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like, it's not just dates and times. It's about,
the experience.
yes, it's about the why.
Yeah.
Like, why are we even getting together?
Yeah, what are we hoping to get out of this?
Exactly. And what kind of experience are we trying to create together?
Yeah, and what kind of conversations are we hoping to have?
Right. And it really encourages us to be intentional with our time,
Yes.
to choose those activities that really align with our values and our interests.
And to be interested in the other person, like genuinely interested.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big takeaways from this whole thing.
It is. And the script gives some really cool examples of how to do this.
Hmm.
Like, instead of just saying, want to see a movie,
Mm-hmm.
you could say something like, I heard about this amazing documentary on topic they're interested in. Would you be up for checking it out?
Oh, I like that.
It's like you're inviting them to something that you think they will actually enjoy,
Yes.
not just, trying to fill up some empty space in your calendar.
Yeah, or like check something off your to-do list.
Exactly. And it shows that you're actually paying attention
Right.
to their interests,
It's what they care about.
which always makes people feel good.
It does.
Like, hey, I remember that you mentioned this and I thought of you.
Yeah, you're being considered.
And it really shifts the dynamic of the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Because instead of that transactional, like, let's do something,
I need something from you.
yeah, it's more like, I want to share something with you,
Oh, that's nice.
which is so much more inviting and engaging, I think.
Okay, I want to talk about this collaborative decision-making thing because this is something we keep coming back to. And the script
Oh, yeah, it's huge.
talks about this a lot.
It's a really important point. And it ties into that cultural value of individual autonomy
Yeah.
that we were talking about earlier.
Like freedom to choose.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you said, you don't want to feel like you're being railroaded into something.
Right. And so instead of, like, dictating the details, like, we're meeting at the Italian place at 7,
Right.
it suggests things like, are you in the mood for Italian? Or is there something else you're craving? Or what time works best for you?
Yeah.
Is there a particular location that you prefer?
I like that.
You're giving the other person the power to
Express their preferences.
express their preferences. Exactly.
And it feels more relaxed.
It does.
Like you're in this together. It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Okay. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about, like, what happens when things change. Because sometimes,
Life happens.
you make a plan and then something comes up and you have to cancel or reschedule.
Right.
And this can be a tricky situation to navigate.
It can be. Yeah. And I love how the script frames this as an opportunity.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Oh.
To strengthen your relationship with the person.
Okay.
Because even in like a potentially negative situation,
Right.
you can still show care and consideration
I see.
for the other person.
Okay, so what kind of advice does it give for like canceling or rescheduling gracefully?
So instead of just being like blunt, you know, sorry, can't make it,
Yeah.
you could say, I'm so bummed, but something came up on my end. Would you be free to reschedule for daytime?
Right. And so you're letting them know that you are truly sorry that you have to
Yes, that you regret it.
change the plans.
You're acknowledging the inconvenience.
And then you're offering a solution right away.
Yes, exactly. Which shows that you're committed to making it work.
Yeah. And I think that's really important because if you just say sorry, can't make it,
It feels very dismissive.
it feels like a war.
You know,
They're
like,
not that important to me.
it doesn't feel good.
Right.
This is making me think about all the different ways that we can apply this.
Oh, like this isn't just about making plans with friends.
Right.
This is about communicating in general.
It applies to so many different areas of life, whether it's professional settings or family gatherings or just even, you know, meeting new people.
Yeah.
These principles of like clear communication and being respectful
Yeah.
and being flexible, those are universally valuable.
They are.
So it's really cool to see how this script kind of highlights those.
Okay, there's one more thing in this script that I have to mention because I think it's so cool.
What's that?
It talks about using the plan, like whatever you're doing together,
Right.
as a springboard for deeper conversation.
I love that.
So it's like you're not just going out to dinner. You're
Yeah.
going out to dinner.
And then
So
you're also,
you're going to talk about something meaningful.
you're going to have a real conversation.
Yes.
And so, for example, instead of just chatting about the weather,
The script suggests saying something like, while we're at the park, I'd love to hear more about that project you've been working on. You seemed really excited about it last time we talked.
I love that because it shows that you're paying attention.
You remember.
You remember,
You care.
you care, and you're interested in hearing more.
Yeah, it's like
Okay.
you're saying, hey, I remember our conversations. I value what's important to you.
And let's talk about it more.
Yeah, and I want to go deeper.
To go deeper, exactly.
And so it's like you're taking this opportunity, this plan that you've made together, and you're using it as a way to actually
to connect
really connect
at a deeper level.
on a deeper level.
It's so cool how this seemingly simple script about making plans actually
Here.
touches upon these deeper aspects of human interaction.
It really does.
It highlights how language can be a tool, not just for like conveying information,
Yeah.
but for building empathy
Yeah.
and deepening our
You're
connection
fostering rapport.
with the people around us.
Yeah, this has been really cool, breaking down this script. And
It's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
How much we can learn from something that seems so simple.
okay, so we've been focusing on these like kind of initial stages of making the plan, but I'm
Mhm.
kind of curious, like what about once you're actually hanging out?
Right.
Like you're having dinner, you're at the park, whatever it is. How do you make sure that the conversation
Stays engaging.
stays engaged? Like it doesn't just devolve into small talk.
Yeah, how do you move beyond the small talk and get into something more substantial?
Yeah, because that's where the magic happens, right?
That's where the magic happens.
That's where you really connect.
It's those moments where you really feel seen and heard
Understood.
and understood, yes.
Okay, so how do we get there?
That's a great question. And I think it's a bit of an art.
It is,
There's no one-size-fits-all formula,
right?
but I think there are some strategies that we can use to gently kind of guide the conversation
Oh, I like that.
in a more meaningful direction.
Gently guide it.
Yes.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me more.
All right, let's dive in.
All right, so welcome back to the show. We've been having so much fun with this script. I feel like we're uncovering so many layers to something that seems really basic,
Yeah, it's amazing how much depth there is to this.
isn't it?
It really is.
It's like this little treasure trove of communication gold.
Absolutely. And it's making me think about how all these insights we've been talking about
Right.
really apply to so many different areas of life.
It's not just about making plans.
No, it's not just about hanging out with friends. It's about,
It's about communicating in general.
yeah, it's about communicating clearly and respectfully
Being intentional.
in all of our interactions.
Yeah, building those connections no matter who we're talking to or what we're talking about.
Right. And I think one of the biggest takeaways from this whole conversation
Yeah.
is that it really starts with being mindful of our language. Like choosing those words that convey not just information,
Right.
but also respect and openness,
Yeah, you want to be genuine.
a genuine desire to connect.
Yeah, and I think even if you're using like all the right words,
Yeah.
if your tone is off or if you're not really being sincere,
It's going to show.
it's going to show. People can feel that.
Absolutely.
So you have to kind of make sure that your words and your actions and your intentions are all
Aligned.
aligned. Yeah.
Congruent.
Okay, so we were talking before about like that moment when you're actually in the hangout.
Yes.
You're at the restaurant, you're at the park, wherever you're at.
Right.
And the conversation's kind of stalled or it's just small talk.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get out of that rut?
That's the question, isn't it? Like, how do you move beyond the superficial
Yeah,
and create that space for those deeper conversations?
they're real conversations.
Juicy conversations.
So how do we do that?
Well, I think it starts with being present,
Okay.
like truly present in the moment
Yeah.
and genuinely curious about the other person.
So it's not just about waiting for your turn to talk.
No, it's about actively listening to what they're saying,
Oh.
trying to understand their perspective,
Yeah.
their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings.
And I think that comes across in how you respond.
Absolutely.
Like if you're really listening,
Yeah,
you're going to ask questions that are relevant
and thoughtful.
and show that you've been paying attention.
And you can also do that with your body language.
Oh, yeah.
Like making eye contact, leaning in,
Yeah.
mirroring their body language a little bit.
So you're with them.
Yes, you're
Yeah.
signaling that you're engaged.
Okay, so we're listening, we're being present, we're showing that we're curious.
Right.
How do we ask good questions?
Oh, that's a great question. I think open-ended questions are always a good starting point.
Okay.
So instead of asking something like, did you have a good weekend?
Right?
Which can just be a yes or no answer.
Yeah.
You could ask something like, what was the highlight of your weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Which invites them to share a specific experience.
They have to think a little bit.
Yeah. And then you can build upon that with follow-up questions like, oh, you mentioned you went hiking. What trail did you go on?
Yeah.
What was the scenery like?
Oh, I like that.
You're weaving together a more interesting...
You're building on it.
Yes, exactly.
And sometimes I think it's not even about asking questions.
Right.
It's about offering something yourself.
Yes.
Like sharing a personal story or...
a feeling
Yeah.
that connects to what they've shared.
Like you're meeting them halfway.
Exactly.
You're being a little vulnerable.
You're being vulnerable. And I think that invites them
Yeah.
to be vulnerable too.
It's like you're building that trust.
Yes. And as that trust grows,
Yeah.
the conversation naturally flows into those deeper areas.
And then you start talking about the stuff that really matters.
The big questions.
The stuff that keeps you up at night.
The stuff that makes you feel alive.
Exactly.
And isn't that really what it's all about?
It is.
It's those moments of true connection and understanding.
And I think that's what's so cool about this script, is that it's not just about making plans. It's about
so much more.
It's about using those plans
Yes.
as a springboard for something much deeper.
To create those moments of magic
Yeah.
in our relationships.
And I love that.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is. All right. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways that you hope people walk away with?
Well, I think it's that reminder that communication is a skill
Mm-hmm.
that we can all develop.
Yeah.
And it's a skill that can really transform our relationships
For the better.
for the better.
Yeah.
Yes. And that it starts with being mindful of our language,
Mm-hmm.
being curious about the people around us,
Yeah.
and genuinely wanting to connect.
Yeah.
And I think if we can do those things, we
Yeah.
can create those meaningful connections
Absolutely.
that make life so rich and rewarding.
Well said.
So go out there and experiment with these ideas.
Yes.
Be intentional with your words. Be curious about others. And don't be afraid
Yeah.
to go deep.
To go deep.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
Couldn't agree more. And until next time, keep diving deep.
See you then.